Hey guys, it's Tristan here from ZebraInvest, and today I'm going to run through one of the latest acquisitions and purchases I've got lined up. It's a really cool property where you can see that perseverance has paid off to be able to pick up a deal that had already fallen through with someone else, but through something we'd offered on in the first place, didn't have the best offer, but how our understanding has pulled through to be able to get the deal. I'm also going to explain where and how I found the investor who we're doing this deal with together, and how hopefully it's all going to turn out. Touch wood, we're going to be picking up keys next week. But this has been a bit of a long drawn out deal to get across the line, because there's a few hurdles with the lenders along the way. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to show you what we've done, why I kind of thought it was interesting, roughly how I found it, and go from there. So I'll jump in and show you my screen. So this property was actually found through Rightmove. I was looking through, trying to see what's come up newest, anything else that's on the market, because during 2021, it had been a really busy market. It's been incredibly difficult to find deals and opportunities, and you've got to find that needle in a haystack for an opportunity that's going to stack and something that's going to work. So I found this property on Rightmove. I'm going to go straight to the postcode to show you what it is. And it's marked as sold because it's a property that's going through with us. So this was the property that we looked at. Here you can see it's Carnarvon Road. It's a stunning property, and the reason I originally jumped into this listing and thought it was interesting, that most people may not have noticed, as you can see, look, the first photo here is of this beautiful kind of barn at the back of the property, but the other little photo you can see to one side is of this little house here, and it's clear just looking at it, there's two properties together, and most people, you know, in the area, you look at it and think 600 grand, that's a really expensive house for the area, what it is. So to give you an idea, this property, Carnarvon Road, is just in what's called the Golden Triangle. And in Norwich, the Golden Triangle is between an area called Ipswich Road and up to about Unthank Road. There's a little bit of an overspill either side, but that's predominantly what people call the Golden Triangle. It's used to be quite a studenty area, wedged between the University of East Anglia and Norwich City Centre. And then is more recently they've kind of moved more towards the university and living in West Earlham, which is right next to university. And then we've had a few more kind of professionals who started moving and living in that area, and you've also had more home owners and occupiers kind of rebuy and buy back up that area as well. So it's been a really interesting area, and it's quite an affluent area as well. And you can see here, even if you just look at, I'll jump back to the thing, you can see on my screen, I've got my little property data linked in on the right hand side, and you see the average pound per square foot in the area is £330 a square foot. The average in Norwich is around about £300 a square foot. So this really is quite an affluent area in the city. So the bit that stood out, as I said, was that as soon as you looked at the photo of it, you see there's one property here and there's another property there. So we're getting two properties for the price of one, and that's almost title splitting. As I said earlier, the great bit is in the area where we've got two properties, we've got the opportunity to possibly use the one at the front as a family house, the other one at the back as a family house. They could be resold, they could be flipped, they could possibly be used as HMOs, they could be serviced accommodation. There's lots of different angles on this one. But the best bit about it was, if you look through, the properties are actually in really good condition, being really well looked after, they're beautiful properties, and they're nice. You can see in here, it's nice, wide open spaces, and you know, just by putting in a bit of new stud work to rearrange the space, and you could turn this into a quite nice family house just by rearranging it and putting the stud work in to turn it into 3 bedrooms rather than the 1 bedroom that is at the back. I'll show you through it. You can see it's just an absolutely gorgeous property. And I'll jump into the floor plan and give you an idea. This has gone to the front property, and again, you can see it's all up together. It's in good condition. But that's that. So that's fantastic, Tristan. Why on earth is this interesting? Why on earth can you buy this whopping great property for 600 grand? And Tristan, are you actually going to pay 600 grand for a property? So look, here you've got a nice, lovely description. I don't tend to get into those too much unless I want the dimensions to then be able to work out what floor plan size is, how big the property is, what's going on. But here you can see floor plan 1. This is the front property, and we've got 4 bedrooms here. Granted, this bedroom at the back a little bit too small for being able to use for an HMO, so you can rearrange the space to kind of improve that and then be able to make it lettable. But you've got an ensuite bedroom off the back there, You've got potentially, if you use the side door at the back here, to use that as, say, the main door to the property, because we've got what's called a over the passage. So you could use it so people go around the side to get into the house. So you could actually, you know, naturally get 5 bedrooms out of this, 5, and rent them all straight away and get quite a good rent. The other bit is you've got another floor plan here, and this property is colossal, right? So you can see here, you've got the family room across the front, and that's where I said if we put the stud wall up, we could split, you know, you could almost put a wall there to create a bedroom and another one in there. But the one thing that I always do and I always talk about and explain is that I always look at properties to see roughly how big they are. Because as soon as you know how big they are, you can roughly work out how much that property is going to be worth. If you go to the website, you can find the energy performance certificates. You can quickly put in the postcodes for those properties. I'll put in number 72. You've got 2 there. You can see here we've got 86. So calculator. We'll put this on here. So we've got 86 plus. And then the other one here, 150. We've got 236 square meters. And you times that by 10.76 square feet. And then we know when we're just looking at it here, it says that £330 a square foot, under 330. I know that the purchase price of 600 grand that they're offering is far less than what it's worth on a per square foot basis. And granted, this doesn't allow for, you know, does it have a really nice garden? Does it have everything else? But you can see inside there a beautiful house. But the problem is there aren't many people out there who are looking to buy 2 properties at the same time. And the issue with this property, when it came down to it, was not the fact that it's 2 properties, 2 beautiful properties in a great location. The problem was it had an issue with its planning permission. The chap had gone off, he'd converted these 2 properties, split them up, and he had the right to be able to use the rear property as an annex, and the front property always had to be, so the 2 had to be used together by the same family. So if the property at the rear wasn't used by the same family, or they were both going to be let out separately or sold to separate investors, it's not possible because the rear one, its planning legislation doesn't allow it to be used without the front one. But this is where the magic happens. This is where we got a little bit devious, did a bit of digging, a bit of research to work out what's been going on. And the rear property had actually been used by the owner. He'd lived in there, but the front property had been continually let for, I think, almost 15 years. And in doing so, because it's over 10 years, then you can get a lawful development certificate to say that the rear property has continually been used as a separate C3 property, and so therefore is its own house. So all you need to do is get all of that evidence together, and then you can demonstrate it. And so we've gone off, we've researched it, collated all that information, and worked with RS Studios in Southampton, a chap called Ranjit there, and we've managed to put a whole case together to demonstrate this, to submit to the council. So the council now, it's all been submitted, and that's going through, but the whole deal wasn't reliant on that. So that's just been going through in the background. And once that lawful development certificate goes through, we've actually already had a valuation that says the property, just with that lawful development certificate alone, is worth about £70,000 more than we've agreed to pay for it. So Tristan, that's fantastic. But you said this was all about perseverance and, you know, how you've managed to actually get through the deal to get it across the line. So I've got to admit, it wasn't as straightforward as we would have liked it to have been. So usually I should really try and, I'm just going to try and cover something up on my screen. I don't know if it's going to be possible. I can kind of do it. 1 minute, just so then you don't have the contact details for who I've been in touch with. Just trying to rearrange that, and then I can show you. But here we go. So you'll be able to, you can see who the agent is anyway online. But here you go. So this is the first email. Thank you very much for your offer. The offer that you put in is too low. It's too low. You can't do it. If you can get up to 550, you can have the property. And so I went back through and I did a fair bit more digging. And again, look, I did a load of digging, and then there was another email that came back to me. And I tried asking them, look, how can I actually work out to say how much each of these properties are going to be worth? What are they going to be able to do to them? And what can I do with it? So again, let's just pop that email back up just to show you.
So you can then see this one again. You can see that again here we turn and say, look, 82 Carnarvon Road. That's only 5 doors down the road over the passage, which ours is the front one over the passage up to 3-bedroom end of terrace. So it's probably going to be a bit bigger, but that's sold for 460. So I know that front property is worth way more than what I'm paying. You know, that's worth, at least based on my 527, that there's a good bit of headroom, a good bit of margin in there. And so again, I'm going to jump back to the last email that we then had on them. So then got round to, so we didn't win it. The sale then went off with another buyer. He went down his merry way and then got to the legal problem and couldn't buy it. Couldn't buy it. And that was, I'm going to say, fantastic for me anyway. So we then got to the final bit of it all. Here you go. And we get this lovely little email. As you're able to fix the problem with the title, the scenario of the title, are you happy to accept the 527? Oh, of course we are. Yes, of course we're happy to accept that offer. Thank you very, very, very much. So, you know, a lot of work, a lot of hard work, persistence, going back to them after the sale's gone through, fallen through, has actually worked out quite well for us. I'd like to say this has been a really easy, simple kind of transaction so far, but it really hasn't been. It's been anything but. Initially, it hasn't been anything but. Initially, I went off, and the investors that I'm working with, who are Iris and Graham, hopefully they'll see this video and they'll like it. They are fantastic people. They've been really lovely with it. We found the deal and started working together on it. We got in touch and we started using one bridging lender, and we explained from the offset of this property. We said, look, we're buying a property. At the back at the moment, it doesn't have its own planning to use it for the situation that it is. It doesn't have its own lawful development certificate, but we understand this and we have all the evidence. We provide copies of the evidence to show how we're going to get there, what's going to happen, how it's going to work. And then we said to them, look, you know, this is the deal, this is how it's going to work. You can see, if you look around in the area, the value of the other properties, because that property at the back at 150 square meters, you know, even if you just base it on, you know, 300, you know, £3,000 a square foot, which is far less, no, £3,000 a square meter, which is far less than the 330 times by 10.76, that's worth £450,000. So the combined parts of that property should at the end be worth about 750. So we'd explained it, we pointed it out, demonstrated it, got through the whole process, given all of our CVs, all of our, you know, done all the whole application process. And 2 months down the line, they're just like, well, we don't think we want to lend to you. And it's like, look, guys, you said from the offset, you've given us the terms, we've negotiated, we've gone through the whole thing, and you're happy to do it. But they had a change of heart. They didn't want to lend to us. Hey ho, fortunately, we've got a fantastic broker. We work with Simon Hodgson from Funded. He's then gone out, found someone else who can take place and step in. They've come in, they've understood the idea, they've understood the concept, they understood the new structure that we've done. So with this, we've got a really quite a cool JV structure between Iris, Graham and I, where at the end of it, each of the properties, one at the back, one at the front, could be transferred up to each of our own companies, our own shareholders above it, without paying any stamp duty. So we transfer those back up, and we can then dissolve the SPV or the JV company in between to do that. So they understand it. They understand what we're trying to do, what the end goal is. And they also realize that we've explained to them, look, we can sell, we can flip these properties very easily. There can be really nice family homes at the end of it. You know, there's plenty of options here. So you can, whether you want to refinance it, whether you want to sell it, there's a really good market for it out there. So what we did is we explained that to them, and then they then went off and explained that to the valuers. So the valuers went around the property. We had VAS panel who instructed Watsons locally. They came round and they understood. They said, look, well, yeah, we can see this as the front property is this. We can see that rear property is that. We can see as soon as you get your lawful development certificate, the property is worth at least £600,000 without you doing anything, just getting that piece of paper. So, and then that means that anyone can then lend on it. And then as soon as you've done some minor works inside, which I'll show you the floor plans in a second, it's going to be worth 700. So it's a no-brainer. So the valuers understood it, the lender understood it, the broker that we've got has places with completely the right people in the first place, and that's all fantastic.
There's more problems to come along the line, but fingers crossed we've got over them. And then we're almost down there to get it sorted. So I'll show you the floor plans to explain what we're going to do, what we're hoping to do. And then you can see how we can add value to a property quite simply. So I go back to sharing my screen. There you go. And here you can see this is the original floor plan of 72 Carnarvon Road. The rear one, 72, sorry, 70. This is the original floor plan for the whole building. So you've got this is the upstairs of the property, first floor. You can see that's where we've got the four bedrooms in the front one. The rear one, we've got this family room, large bathroom. And then if we go next photo, this is the downstairs of each one. You can see really good sized properties. And then what we can see here, and then we've got a little loft room. So we've got the line there. But here you can see what we could do with it. So what we can do is by rearranging the bathroom on this left one, we can increase the size of the bedroom. And that then means that we've then got 4 decent sized bedrooms that could be used as an HMO if you wanted to. If you just left them in the place as they are at the moment, you've got a 4-bedroom family house in the centre of Norwich. It's great. If you decide to do this, you're making it more lettable. You can see here as well on the right hand side by putting in the stud work. You don't have to do these bathrooms and all this rearrangement at the back. You can easily see how, if you left the space on the back, you could turn it into a 3-bedroom house without too much work. Or you can turn it into a 4-bedroom with bathroom, communal bathrooms, and ensuite. And here downstairs, you can leave the same. If you wanted to, you can turn this in and add more rooms. There's other ways of doing this, but this is one way that you can add a lot more space to the property. And you see you get a kitchen, living, breakfast, and like a really nice communal area there as well. And that is the logo that we put together, sent across on a few of our documents. But that explains what we're buying. So what's the trials, the tribulations, and the problems been towards the end of it? Tristan, you've already mentioned them. So with the lender, we've come right up to Christmas to get this all sorted. With the vendor, it was getting a bit jittery, and because it's taken so long with the first lender who said, yes, we'll do it, we're happy, we're all in, and then go, boop, we're going to pull the rug from under your feet. We've had to change plan. So we changed plan and went to a different lender. But then the vendors got a bit jittery. It's like, look, guys, you're taking forever. You said you're going to do this reasonably quickly, and you haven't. So we said that why don't we exchange? We'll exchange at 5% deposit on the property, and then we will complete 2 months after. That gives us time to get the finance, all of our ducts and everything else. Right. So we've been off. We've had the valuation done, but the valuation got delayed by 11 days. We then had run up to Christmas. We got cut short by a week. So in all, we ended up getting cut short probably by about 3 weeks without even wanting to be. So that started happening. So that shortened us by probably about 3 weeks. And then we had all of the documents, everything else to sign and send off. Most of the legal work's all been sorted. Our solicitor's been fantastic. It's been really on it, but it's been a bit more difficult than we were all expecting. And unfortunately, the documents came across unprepared, which means you have all these brackets, all these different sections on it. And so we were literally there, Iris, Graham, myself, we're all there trying to get these documents done to get it submitted just before Christmas. Trying to cross out and sort all these documents, which just needed all preparing in advance. So unfortunately, the deadline got missed, and then what's called a notice to complete was served. And this then gives you 10 working days from that day to then get the completion across the line. Fortunately, we've then been off. We've got all of our documents all redone, signed, sent all the way back to our solicitor, and hopefully all the way back up to our lender solicitor. That's all been scanned and sent across. So that all then lands with them. They've just got to review and check it. The lender has already released the funds to the solicitor's account to be able to transfer it across to complete. So this is literally, I think I'm recording this almost about 2 days before we get that property across the line. But you can see at the end of it, whilst we've had a lot of problems, it's been a bit of a challenging deal to get to come together. Once it all comes together, it's going to be a really nice deal, because even with our really basic refurbishment, putting in the new, say, 3 set of walls, turning the rear property into a 3-bedroom property, fixing 1 or 2 small problems with the front property, all said and told, that's going to then lift the property's value up to £700,000, and each of the properties can then be sold separately. And that's simply you've looked through a property, you've had persistence, you've followed up, you've got the deal across the line. And the margin, you can see, you know, buying, as you saw, the offer that we got accepted is 527,000, and then there's 700,000 there. After all of your costs, even in between, the refurbishment works to do that aren't going to cost more than probably about £12,000 tops. So £12,000 plus all our legal, stamp duty, the whole works. And where this is 2 properties, you can use multiple dwellings relief. You know, at the end of the day, there's probably going to, there'll be around about 100 grand worth of uplift in value, in profit, without, you know, trying to really force it. If you then do try and go off down that other idea of doing it the HMO route, you're then going to lift it, you know, on top from the 527, you go up to 520 to 750. So there's a lot of headroom. Anyway, the whole idea of this video was just to point out you can find deals out there, roughly what to look for, and this hopefully points out that it's not all as easy as it looks, and hopefully gives you a couple of ideas of how to get a deal across the line yourself in future. Hope you found this useful. Hope you like this video. Subscribe to my channel. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them below, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. Cheers.